Job chapters 33 and 14. For God speaketh once, yet twice, yet man perceive it not. I want to give our praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Harakak giving double honors to all the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. And yes, the house of David is rising. I are back at you with another lesson through the power and the spirit of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua. So just land backing off my video I did yesterday, the example I gave with the King Naaman, who did lack perception in the beginning. 2 Kings chapters 5, and is a very good example. I thought it was, and so yeah. Then there's many examples of this lack of perception here. For God speaketh once, yet twice, yet man perceive it not. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumbering and upon the bed, he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction. Now the word, I wanted to just get into this word here, perceive, because a little word, but it packs a punch. A little small word, but it does pack a punch. You can do well if you have this in your arsenal. So we're going to look into this word, and I want to check out what Google has to say as usual, and we're just going to roll in, you know, however long it takes to do this video. We're just going in the spirit, things to be brought out. Now let me back this video up a bit, back it up a bit. I want to see what it says when I do the voice in. I do the voice in and see what it says. What does perceive mean?
Here's the definition of perceive: become aware or conscious of something, come to realize or understand.
Yeah, man. So that was quick and nice and nicely said. Become aware or conscious or something, come to realize or understand. Discern. Yeah, we got this word. That's a spiritual word there. That's a scriptural word. Just like recognize, look on, regard, consider, think of, judge. Yeah, and yeah, potentially the elect are going to be judges. We're going to need that perceptive ability, deem. So by the looks of it, it might be a quick video here. Let me try something else. I keep forgetting now. I don't need to write anything, which is very handy. I can another one. Give an example of perceiving.
Here are some pictures that match.
One person may perceive a dog jumping on them as a threat, while another person may perceive this action as a pup just being excited to see them. Okay, your perceptions, different perceptions. Our perception of people and things are shaped by our prior experience, our interest, and how carefully we process information. Okay, that's nice. I like that. That was kind of, yeah. So perception says a lot. It goes in. What is an example of perception? Let's see what this says. An example of walking. For example, upon walking onto a kitchen and smelling the scent of baking cinnamon rolls, the sensation is the scent receptor detecting the odor of cinnamon, but the perception may be, this smells like the bread grandma used to bake when the family gathered for holidays. I want to try one. I want to try something else. Perceive Shouldn't perceive. That was by mistake. But let me see if sometimes mistakes make you find something you didn't want to, something even better than what you was looking for. The act of faultly or perceiving or apprehending by means of the senses of the mind, cognitive understanding, immediate or intuitive recognition or appreciation as of moral, psychological, or artistic qualities, authentic qualities, insight, intuition, discernments, and artists of rare perception. Okay, wasn't what I really was looking for, but something there I could still, maybe I can gain from that. The act of faculty or perceiving or apprehending by means of the senses or of the mind, cognition. Yeah, still good. And one more. Perceive etymology. What's the etymology say? To perceive the etymology. And then we get back to the blue letter. To perceive, become aware of, gain knowledge of, especially to come to know. See that? Let me zoom in a bit. Especially to come to know by direct experience via Anglo-French, perceive, Old French, picoya, perceive. Know is to see, recognize, understand from the Latin. Straightforward. Learn, comprehend, literally to take entirely. Figuratively, to grasp with the mind, learn, comprehend, literally to take entirely. Found out what I wanted to find out there. Perceptions. Give an example of perceiving. For example, upon walking onto the kitchen, yeah, I've done that one already. And then the dog, the perception of the dog. What does it mean? Become aware or conscious of something, come to realize. Now, let's go back to this. Because this is when God was speaking to Job, God was speaking to man. He made an observation. He said, let's go up back to this is Job 33:12. It says, behold, in this thou art not just. I will answer thee that God is greater than man. Why dost thou strive against him? This is men, the rebellious manhood in general. You got mankind, which is the ease. And I'll say this too. We're going to need a lot of perception in that time of Jacob's trouble. We're going to need to be aware, cognitive of Yahweh Hashem Yeshua, the relationship. That's why we're building up this relationship now. Because when they try and come with our lists, which we got through, we was cognitive. We perceived that the dragon juice ain't healthy. The dragon juice, the serpent juice, and people didn't perceive that it was we were gonna take them out. Many people in droves. They kicked the bucket in droves because they didn't perceive that the dragon juice is gonna take them out. People still ain't gonna perceive, with the MOTB, with the digital currency, what is going on around them. The kingdom is on its way out. Jacob is on his way in. Esau's kingdom is on its way out. 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. Esau's kingdom is on its way out. Jacob's kingdom is on its way in. But there's a lot of people that do perceive. Hence why they're out there begging, and they know they're homeless now. Some people have to, they because they can't perceive, they can't hear, they're gonna feel. So we get pre-advanced warning to perceive what is about to take place in the earth. Why? Thus thy strive against him. Job 33 and 13. For he giveth not account of any of his matters. Yeah, that's what happens when you don't give account of your whole Bashim Shai's matters. You kick the bucket, hence the dragon juice and the serpent juice and all these pandemics that people are getting licked by. The tornadoes over there and the over there in Oklahoma. You got these massive giant they're like they say they're as big as baseballs. These hailstones as big as baseballs. People getting flooded out of their yards. The flash floods over there. People ain't perceiving what time it is, man. Hence, this is why we need that perception to be on point, finely tuned like a guitar when you're tuning in the strings, or a piano when you're finely tuning that piano, those keys, so it sounds precise, on point, in tune. We won't be in tune with our Heavenly Father, Abaratazar. We get in there, Abaratazar. We get there, man, because it's going to mean salvation to be in tuned and finely tuned. For God speaketh once, yet twice, and yet man perceive it not. That's the advantage that we gonna have against those people that have no perception. They lack perception. What is going on around them, lack of observation, lack of what time it is, lack of the falsifiers out there, the physicians of no value. What is fooling up in those needles, what they're giving them, they're juking them with. They lack perception, and that's a big chink in the armor. Let me say that word. There's a massive chink in the armor. A man that doesn't have no discernment, that's a big blow. Let me go in. Blue letter has to say. Perceive. What does it compare with what we looked at in Google? Perceive it. So that's how you pronounce it there. There.
Strong's H, 7789. Sure. And second entry. Tour.
Right, to see, behold, absorb, regard, taking, and if you can do that and you can absorb, you can take the necessary actions. You know, a simple thing as if you're in the swamp, you know there's going to be alligators going to be surrounding around you, man. Or if you're in a massive you know, one of those massive sea, rivers and lakes, or the transatlantic ocean or river or sea, you're going to have to be aware of sharks. You're going to be aware of that. You're going to perceive sharks are going to be, you know, gathering around you, man. You ain't going to want to be in there long. And if you've got any sense at all, you ain't going to be in there at all. But you got people that they play around, you know, people that get stung by stingrays, you know, and they play around. Was that guy's name Stephen something? Stephen, you know, the one. He was always on television playing with animals, wild animals, alligators, and he ended up dying by sting by stingray. That was the last thing he expected. People might have thought he might have died by death by crocodile. He used to put his hand in crocodiles' mouths and things, silly things like that, and play with them. And then he eventually got stung by a stingray. He had no perception. He you know, it might have been that's another form of overconfidence too, or you might even say arrogance, or not understanding the creation of man. He's a wild animal, man, you know, so he lacked perception. That guy, Steve something, but you know the guy. And there's many examples. You know, with the example with Naaman, he actually resisted the advice from the messenger at first, telling him to go and dive or go and jump in the Jordan River, bathe in it 7 times, and your flesh will become as a newborn baby. He resisted it because he didn't like the sound of it. It wasn't packaged. It didn't sound right to him. It was beneath him. He had that sense of pride because he was a mighty man. He led armies to war and no doubt had many victories. he didn't like the sound of doing that at first, so he didn't. Back to Job 33, he didn't take that. Man was speaking to him. Yahweh was speaking to man, and this goes a lot around. This happens a lot. Man speaking to you. Most High can use anything he wants. He can use a young girl. That's how it all started out in the first place. One of his slaves made mention of it to his wife, and his wife made mention of it, and then it got around to Elijah and Elisha, and Elisha sent one of his messengers to King Naaman, to wash in the river Jordan 7 times, and then your flesh will be made fresh again. But he didn't like probably how it started off through one of his slaves advising him, and it took a little while for the penny to drop, and then eventually he got the message. The messenger had to reason with him. If it was something greater, wouldn't you have liked to have done it? Why don't you rather do something like this to get your health right? So the penny dropped, and he perceived in the end that it was God speaking to him, even though at first how it started. It started by one of his slaves observing that he was so strong and mighty, but yet you as a leper. Don't you know God can heal you from having that leprosy? That was the initial conversation through his one of his slaves. It got to his wife, and then it got to the prophet, and then it got to Prophet Elisha, and then Prophet Elisha sent his messenger. But it's a good story. I went through it yesterday, but I think it was a good example that you can use. Sometimes the messages don't come the way you like to hear them. They don't come from the person you think the person may be giving you the message. You may feel that he's beneath you. Who are you to tell me that? You may not want to hearken. But that just makes the point, man. To behold, to observe, to regard, to watch, stealthily lie in wait. And we're going to, like I say, again, we're going to need to be observant and discerning in time of Jacob's trouble, to perceive how they're going to try a lot of things to try and get us to take that MOTB. They're going to try a lot of things, a lot of tricks. We're dealing with subtle serpents. We know that. So let me carry on reading, because the point is already made, but I want to carry on. He says, why doth thy strive against him? Job chapters 33 and 13. For he giveth not an account of any of his matters, mankind in general, but the spiritual man will hearken. The spiritual man will take heed, and he will perceive, and he will be discerning through the power and spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yeshua. And the elect will. Ultimately, the elect are going to take heed of the warning, due warning. And yeah, that what comes to mind now is the Matrix movie, where Neo was he was on the run. He was a fugitive running from the agents, and he always had to be as close to get close to one of the phones. And if the closer he got to the phone, he know that he can be delivered any time soon. But there was a voice that was talking to him, telling him which way to go. One of those hidden things in his ears. I think he had something in his ears, and it was telling him what to do, where to run, where to hide, where to get out, where to go and plot. The walls have got there's hidden walls behind walls, and the story. But he was listening to the voice. For God speaketh once, yet twice, yet man perceive it not. That's why many people don't survive, don't endure to the end, when they start to lose track and stop hearkening to the voice. For God speaketh once, yet twice, yet man perceive it not. In a dream, this is the point that we usually bring out. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumbering upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men, and sealeth their instruction, that he may withdraw man from his purpose, and hide pride from men. When we break it down, when we have dreams, and I tell you, I've been having them dreams. Sometimes I remember them, sometimes for the purpose. There's one that's been I had a really powerful one, but if the spirit says bring it out, I will. But this seems a bit too it's a beautiful dream. But we'll see. We'll see. Most I want me to bring it out. So scriptures come to mind, But that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from man. Yeah, because in 16 it says, then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction, that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide. It's all about, we are not in control here, man. There is no such thing as free will. We're all ordained of the Lord in our lot, playing our position, what we are, who we are, the characters that we are, the personalities that we are. It's all been are ordained. And they don't teach you this in the Christian church. Yeah? It's all being ordained by the Lord. So if you're of the elect that was ordained of the Lord, whatever you are, a footballer, basketball player, which I touched on a little bit yesterday, a mighty man of war, MMA man, any kind of sport what you're doing, that's all been ordained of the Lord, predestined. But that's the point I wanted to bring out. Then he may open the ears of man and sealeth their instruction. So we shouldn't be proud, because that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from man. We're not ordained. This is we're just pawns in the Most High's bigger picture, his movie. So we shouldn't be proud. And there's enough examples of that in, like, with Egypt, the Egyptian Pharaoh versus Moses made an example. Yahushua made an example of Pharaoh. He hardened Pharaoh's heart. So he got the idea, there is no such thing as free will, and he died a miserable man. Pharaoh died a miserable man with nothing. He didn't even have his firstborn. He didn't have his host, his army anymore, and his wife was against him. So that was his pride. Everything he lost everything. That's why it's called foolish pride. He tried to hold on to it, but he ended up losing everything, as well as his pride. So that's the point. That's the point. For God speaketh yet once, yet twice, yet man perceive it not. And it ain't gonna end up good for you. Those examples we gave, and we had a good example with Naaman, who became healed of his leprosy because the penny dropped. He got the message in the end. And there's many other examples of those who heeded. Job heeded also. Yeah, his family. He lost his family, but he also was blessed with his family back, because he endured all the tribulations that was put upon him, losing his livelihood, his family, his livestock. But the Most High blessed him with all those things back, even double. So he perceived and he endured the method to the madness. And the bad example is Pharaoh in the book of Exodus. Goes into all about that. Pharaoh was he was a hard-hearted pride man. He didn't hearken unto the voice of the Lord. He didn't hearken unto Moses. He lost everything, including his pride. So the method to this, the moral to the story is, let's read this precept. We're going to end it, because there is a moral to every story in the scriptures, man. Isaiah 30 and 21 says, and thine ears shall hear a word behind thee, saying, this is the way, walk in it, when ye turn to the right hand and when ye turn to the left. We got teachers, man. We got teachers. We had teachers and we still have teachers, the elders and apostles on down. Yahushua, we got the oracles of the Lord. We got these stories, the examples that we're giving you to this day to look at. Yeah, all the things that we've been learning to this point is why we're hearkening, we're listening. Yeah, we're cognitive of the of Yahushua's voice, man. Yeah, be perceptive of the Most High's voice and be blessed. That's the video I entitled yesterday. Yeah, perceive the Most High's sayings, Perceive the Most High sayings and be blessed, because there's a blessing. That's the moral of the story, man. You will be blessed. Hearken unto the Spirit of the Lord, and we will be blessed. Yeah, man. So thine ear shall hear a word behind thee saying, this is the way, walk in it. Continue to learn and perceiving what the Spirit is saying, and be blessed. Continue to learn. Walk in it when ye turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left. Yeah, the Matrix movie again. He had to be constantly on call. Yeah, Neo, when he was on the run, he was on the move. You could say that was Jacob's trouble. You know, Neo is, brothers say he's more likely a Jake. But the moral of the story, we have to be constantly on alert for what Yahuwah is telling us in the spirit. Abaratazar, we do that, and we may not always feel that we're firing on all cylinders, but that's why we have the vessel of prayer and learning the Hebrew too, which has a lot more force. The vessel of prayer, so that we could be constantly on call from Yahweh Hashem Yeshua. More so, again, Jacob's trouble, man. Neo was constantly alert and cognitive and perceiving which way to go. He needed to be, so he could get that salvation, and he won in the end, man. More so, it was turned up in the spiritual power, and he ended up dealing with the agents, man. They shot the bullets at him in the end, and he just said no. He got the message, man. He's now a spiritual extraterrestrial. He said no. The bullets dropped to the floor. They looked, the two agents looked at each other like, what is this? We never seen something like this before. And then he ended up running at the agents and destroying them, running into them and exploding them into little smithereens. If you saw the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, man, I just wanted to bring that out, man. Thine ear shall hear a word behind thee saying, this is the way, walk in it. Yeah, and more so, like I say, when we're on the move, and you can just do it. You can just be aware of what's going on around you. You could be on the bus, and you might pick up on something, or you might say, boy, I can see something's going to develop here. Let me make a move out of this era. That's the Most High Spirit talking to you, man. You could be in a shop, or just in a crowded place, and something says, this is not. You don't want to be here right now. Make a move. And I've got stories about many a times when the Spirit said to me, and I can go into certain things, and the rabbit hole gets deep. The rabbit hole can get deep. But for now, to keep it simple, the Most High, be perceptive to what the Most High is telling us. Yeah? And be blessed. That's the video that I entitled yesterday. Discern what the Spirit is saying, perceive what the Spirit is saying, and be blessed. I want to give our praises to Yahweh Hashem Yeshua for putting the Spirit on me to do this video. Job 33:40 says, for God speaketh yet once, yet twice, and man perceive it not. So we don't want to be that. We don't want to be that. All praises to Yahweh Hashem Yeshua. Perceive what the Spirit is saying and be blessed. Shalom. It's on to the next one.